right, folks, welcome back to another episode of what show, Huck?
I think it was the
The
BoomBastiCAST.
BoomBastiCAST. That's one of my favorite shows.
Heck yeah.
We got a glorious episode for y'all out there today. We have the great Afro with us. All flows reach out. You know, he's a hip hopper on his come up. Super talented guy, super nice guy, loves films, you know what I mean? Of course, loves music and hip hop. We're diving into a little bit of both in this, you know what I mean? The man loves Jim Varney. If you love Jim Varney, you're going to heaven, dude. You could live a terrible life, and as long as you love Jim Varney, you're going to heaven. That's how good he is. Horror fan, man, really great dude. I think this is the beginning of a beautiful thing with him. You know, he's one of us, man. He's one of us. He felt like he could have been a third member of the BoomBastiCAST, for crying out loud. But now it's time for y'all folks to get in tune with Afro and get hip to him. You know what I mean? Hawk, you think they're ready? You think they're ready for this?
Hey, whether they're ready or not, they don't have a choice, man. They're going to experience the Afro.
Believe it. You know what I mean? You might have seen this man in the breaks. You might have heard this man performing with Marco Polo, with R.A the Rugged Man, with Vinny Paz of Jedi Mind Tricks. You know what I mean?
You might have heard that he was in good time, but unfortunately got cut, which happens to a lot of us. But you know, he did have a chance to be in that film, even for one day.
I feel if they did not cut Afro out of Good Time, it would have been nominated for an Academy Award the same way that Uncut Gems was. Yeah. Even though they gave Sandman a big shiest and said, fuck you, you're not getting no love, unfortunately. But I still I think the Academy was still mad. I think the Academy was still mad at the brothers for not putting Afro in Good Time. Yeah. That's why they snuffed Sandler. But I know there's no beef between Sandler and Afro. You know, much respect there between the both of them. So with that being said, we're going to dive up into this episode with Afro. All flows reach out. Very good dude. We like him a lot, and we hope you do too. And enjoy this episode with Afro. All right, James, welcome to the show, man. Welcome to the BoomBastiCAST.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
And we got brother Alexander up here in the corner.
Hey, man.
Hey, my bro. Good to see
you. You'll notice I talk way too much for the both of us. You know what I mean?
I'm only here to make us look good.
Make me look pretty. You're the model. Yeah.
Yes.
But James, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show, man.
Thank you for having me, bro.
I think you're one of the, I guess, up and comer would be. I mean, you've already established yourself, but like on the come up, you're younger than us, which is great. You know what I mean? Just turned 25 or just turned 26. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you, brother. I just turned 25.
Word up. You're killing it in your age group. You're the best in your age group. For shizzle. Hell yeah. Now, you first popped on my radar about 8 years ago, I'd say. When R.A did that, you know, the contest there, the definition of a rap flow contest. Right. And but of course you were going before that. So let's kind of jump into like where it all started.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
No problem. No problem.
Now you're California, born and raised California.
Yeah. Born and raised Los Angeles, LA.
How you like that?
It's cool. It's cool. It's not how I describe LA is like, it's cool to visit once or twice, but if you plan on moving here, then I don't know, everything's starting to rise up around here. It's like everything. So I don't know if you want to live here, but it's cool being here once or twice to knock off the bucket list.
Yeah, man. It's one of those weird catch-22s because Hollywood, California is that hub really of a lot of entertainment, but like everybody flocks there. So you know what I mean? I'm always interested in like if people that were like born there find it to be as, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like I know people flock there for the opportunities, but, you know, do you feel, you know, starting from there, you feel you get a better opportunity, or is it just kind of because of everybody doing it, it's just kind of like anywhere else in a way?
That's how the second thing you said, that's how I feel. It's like being raised here. I never got that feeling, only through the movies, like that Hollywood feeling. I only got that mainly through the movies growing up. But I didn't even realize that Hollywood was only 20 minutes away from where I live. So like, it's just, you never, like, as a kid growing up, you never think that that you think it's only in the movies kind of thing.
Yeah,
And then when it wasn't until I really got a little bit older where I was like, oh, okay, I see why people like flock here and why they're going for the opportunities here and stuff. But I definitely didn't get that feeling growing up. It was just like, LA. You know?
Yeah. Did you go to high school or anything with anybody that ended up acting? I know when we have actors on the show, they talk about growing up in California and they're like, well, you got your group of kids in school that pursue and you have your group that don't. And
Right.
I always assumed everybody pursued acting. You know what I mean? It's like, you're there, why not? You know what I mean?
I had like, I didn't go to school with anybody that got known for the acting or anything per se, but I remember being a geek, nerd in school where I had a couple friends and we'd be making like home, like no budget, terrible home funny videos or like little movies and stuff, so I definitely had like a little crew of friends where we were like, yo, let's make movies or let's do this. So but we got bit by the bug by that. But I didn't go to school with anybody as far as that got known for it. Like I know what you mean, like on the hip hop side, if I believe Jay-Z went to high school with Biggie and stuff like that. Like a lot of them kind of like, we're under the same umbrella in a way. But no, I never had that. Never had that with me.
I'm glad to hear you did the shorts because I know you got into film a little later. And there's always a great comparison between music and film. You know what I mean? It's an art form. It's one big kind of art form type deal.
Right.
So
Yes.
like musically, what'd you find your influences in kind of in the beginning? What were you getting hip to?
So I remember being around 7 years old or 6 years old, and my mom and dad, they had Biggie and Tupac and Nas CDs laying around. And I would sneak off and listen to them. And I would like the beats. I wouldn't understand completely what they were saying, but I liked the overall sound of it. But it wasn't until I was 9 years old and I was already a little computer whiz. So I was surfing through the YouTubes and stuff at that age. And I came across Microphone Fiend by Rakim.
Okay.
And I was 9 years old and I'm just looking at the thumbnail and I'm like, this looks incredible. I click on it. The beat hooked me in. I was like, this sounds phenomenal. And then when Rakim started rhyming, like I felt my world changed. I was like, I want to do what he's doing. Like that guy Rakim is incredible. So I would credit Rakim as my first major influence for sure.
Word. Yeah, the beat thing's funny because I remember in the early days, but I'd always get hard times about the lyrics. You know what I mean? And the one thing the one go-to thing was always, well, I like the beats. That was like your excuse as a kid not to get in trouble for the lyrics in it. Oh, I just like the music. I like the beats.
Right.
Hey, I just read the articles in Playboy. I mean, that's why I buy Playboy, just for the articles.
Yeah. Now I know you film references come up in your music a lot. You know what I mean? Who, as a kid, who'd you like to get into film wise?
Oh, okay. So I would say that's a good question. I mean, my go-to guys, like I would say that I know we were going to talk about Jim later, but my first hero, like literally 5 or 6 years old, my mom got me Ernest Scared Stupid. Like I remember like yesterday, like the OG cover with the pumpkin and the DVD cover. I remember being like, what? Like just like this looks awesome. And I watched it like a million times. So I would say Jim was definitely my first film guy, like my first guy I loved watching.
Yeah.
And then after that, strangely, I would say Austin Powers. So I was like 7 or 8 years old, dressed up as 6 years old, actually dressed up as Austin Powers, the whole getup and everything, and I'd be dancing like I gotta find. I'm sure we have pictures of it somewhere, but it's hilarious. Like little Fro as Austin Powers. I would actually dress up as Jim also around Halloween too. I'd have my own vest. I'd make my own little Ernest get up. Had the gray cap, had the vest. I just made it. So I dressed up as both of them.
You got to do an Ernest themed music video one day.
No, and I've actually talked to a couple videographers about it. So we will make that happen one day.
Word.
I'm either debating on remaking Scared Stupid and putting new lyrics on it and filming a video, or I'm definitely gonna figure something out. That's gonna happen in the future.
That'd be dope, man. You could get the troll. You could have somebody make that troll, I bet, too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
in that troll, I think the Chiodo brothers, the people that did Killer Clowns, I think, did that.
Yeah, they did. They
Yeah.
did. Yeah, that's what. And if you look at the trolls at the finale of Scared Stupid, when everything's going crazy, a lot of them look dead ass just like the Killer Clowns. Like they literally the same design and everything. So
yeah, I tell you, Scared Stupid. I think, we did an episode not too long ago. We kind of ranked the Ernest movies. Scared Stupid, I feel like I usually put trilogies in like 3 parts. There's like the first one's like the golden movies, then there's like a middle ground, and then there's kind of like a not so great, where I think that like the last golden great Ernest movie was probably Scared Stupid. And then you went into, Goes to School, Rides Again, which were fun. Yeah. They're good. They're middle ground. And then you get to like Slam Dunk Ernest, Ernest in the Army, Ernest Goes to Africa is kind of like those.
Ernest goes to Africa. I was gonna say that one.
Ernest Goes to Africa's got some like incredibly racist moments in it, which is
crazy. It's insane. Yeah, it's insane. Yeah. And as a kid, I used to love that film, but I felt like as I grew up, I was like, yeah, Africa's probably my least favorite, one of my least favorite ones, the Ernest ones.
Yeah. When I think of Africa, I just remember him going, "What up, brother, man?" Like that was something like that. That's what flashes in my head. And then the best part from Ernest in the Army is when he's like in front of that weird tank thing, and he's like, "I will cut your guts out with a rock." I love that part, dude.
Yeah, I think Army isn't like technically the best one, but I think it's a bit underrated. I actually really like Army. I think it's funny. What's your favorite? I know
overall. We can get into it.
What's your top 3 Ernest films?
In no particular order, I would probably say Camp, Christmas, and Scared Stupid. How about you?
Christmas is awesome. I love Christmas. Yeah, Christmas is awesome. Me just on a huge nostalgia bias and overall because of how much I love it, I would say Scared Stupid's my favorite.
Yeah.
I think Jail's underrated. I love Jail. Yeah.
I like Jail.
Yeah. Jail's a little wonky, but that was probably one of my favorites as a kid. So I would say Scared Stupid, Jail, and I'd probably say Christmas too. I'd say Christmas. Yeah, Christmas is great.
I'd play Jail would be number 4 for me. Hawkman, what do you think for your number 3?
Well, I have to say, I mean, my personal favorite was Jail for the simple fact that not only did you have Vonnie playing, of course, Ernest, but he's also playing
the bad guy,
his evil doppelganger. Yeah. Which honestly, I mean, you see the different Ernest movies, and he does play different characters, different variations. But I thought that was the best one because of that. Because it wasn't just a parody of someone else. It was like, he was playing 2 different characters. Absolutely. And personally, Go to Jail is my favorite. Scared Stupid, very close second. And I probably would have to put Christmas as third. But that's awesome. Go to Jail is definitely my favorite out of the Ernest movies.
And it's funny you said Alex, and I agree with that because when Jim was playing Nash, when he was playing the bad guy, it just showed how great Jim would have been in his later career too. As more dramatic or more like bad guy work, he could have definitely had more roles like that where he just like sunk his teeth in like roles like that. Like I could tell there was like an energy with Jim playing Nash. Like he's like, I'm going to be able to showcase this type of skill that I have. And I always like, as a kid, I loved it. But then when I grew up, I started like realizing all of that. And I was like, wow, like I just appreciate Jim so much where it's like, wow, I can see like he would have killed roles like that later on. Like definitely.
Well, I mean, the thing about Jim is he kind of falls in the same category as Leslie Nielsen in the fact that Jim, he first was a dramatic actor doing Shakespeare, that on theater, on Broadway. And, Leslie Nielsen himself, I mean, he was a dramatic actor most of his entire life. And then, of course, with Leslie, it was Airplane. With, Vonnie, it was Ernest. And then they, did the comedy, and then only people could see him as comedy. And they wouldn't give him a chance to do anything more serious. So yeah, that's why I really liked that one, because it gave him the opportunity to touch back to something else that, showing that if you're an actor, I mean, the whole thing is it's acting. You can be dramatic or you can be
Right.
comical.
Absolutely.
And sometimes some of our best comedy actors are our best dramatic actors.
Yeah.
100%. 100. I 100% agree.
Oh
100%.
boy.
And
Yeah.
I'm happy you made the comparison with Leslie, because Leslie's another one that I really love. Like I'm a huge fan of Leslie, and I always knew he started off with the dramatic roles too, but I always felt an underrated role from him was Creep Show,
Yeah.
because it was like a blend of both. It was like he's over the top zany, but he's also playing the scumbag. So it's like it's just a perfect blend of both. That's probably might be my favorite role from him just because of that. Like it's just a perfect blend of dramatic and just like boom, you know.
Yeah, it was funny because Matt and I did a top 10 AD, top 10 performances after death.
Hmm.
We do that for a bunch of different actors. We did that with Leslie Nielsen. And for me, I picked Creep Show as his best performance ever because
Wow.
of that, because it
Wow.
was, as I always say, that when I think the best performance is when they hit like the best level of their talents, whether it's comedy, drama, or in this case, more of a combination of both. So that's yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, Creep Show's in my heart. That's like one of my favorites ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, Varney did like a handful of dramatic stuff. Did like Daddy and Them. He did
Yeah.
something with Patrick Swayze, I think, like Leaving Reno or something like that. I remember I bought all those dramatic ones. There was one that I couldn't find where he played like an alcoholic, which I always wish I could have found because I bet he'd be fucking devastating in that. You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
was on. Yeah.
Sorry, brother. Sorry.
No, no, no,
Sorry.
no, no. You were probably
No,
gonna say something more important.
and no, no, not. And the thing about Daddy and Them is that he had a really great dramatic performance that would have stole the whole show, but they cut it out of the movie. So I was like, they did Jim dirty. It was like Jim put in the best performance of the whole movie and they cut it out. It's like, wow, like it's just dirty, like, you know,
I
crazy.
wonder, I wonder if a decision like that's made because they can't see the true talent in the scene and they go, people are going to know him from Ernest and they're not going to take the dramatic over well. I wonder if that's what
I could see that.
that's unfortunate.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
because I was like, wow, he was like he obliterated that scene in the best way. I was like, wow, like he went in, like he
yeah.
really killed that scene. But yeah, it's yeah.
He was even really good on Roseanne. I don't know if you guys watched that back in the day.
Oh no, I'm a little younger than you guys. I've
Yeah.
only seen one or two Roseanne episodes so far, but I'm gonna check that out just for Jim. I watch it just for Jim.
He's in, I think, the last season. Roseanne has like a great arc. People give it hard times, more so now because she went like crazy and you know
Yeah.
they fired her and all that. But like that first batch was pretty iconic, and it's got one of the best television endings ever. I feel it's very over people's heads, but I won't spoil it if you're going to go into it. But another fun story about Roseanne is you guys know Divine from like the John Waters movies.
Yeah. The pink flamingos and
Pink
stuff
flamingos
like that.
and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
That dude was gonna come in and play her father, but he died the day before they were gonna shoot. Yeah, yeah. Which kind of, you know, Roseanne was kind of like a white trashy show. You know, they were like a white trash family type deal. So it was perfect that like Divine was gonna come in because like John Waters is like, I love John Waters, but he's labeled, you know, the trashiest filmmaker there is.
Yeah.
Very
That
sad,
makes
but
him the best.
he was. I want to meet him. I want to meet him before he goes. Alex got to meet Leslie Nielsen before he died, and I was always very
Wow.
jealous. Yeah.
Alex, how was Leslie? How was he in person?
Oh, I met him at a convention. He was very nice. I do
Awesome.
have to admit, when I saw him, he really looked tired. I mean, like it was literally like a year before he passed.
Oh wow.
Actually, there was a series that I loved that when I was a kid called Due South. It was about a Canadian Mountie that comes to Chicago, ends up working with a Chicago cop, and it's the fish out of water, two opposites becoming best friends kind of dynamic. and Leslie Nielsen played a Mountie that came down for like 2 or 3 episodes, and it was great because I was talking to him, and his father was a Mountie himself in real life. So I was talking to him, and he said, "Yeah, it was kind of a little bit of an homage to his father. Also, that he made a comment that he was bow-legged because of riding horses for so many years. It was a nice little conversation. I mean, of course, after he died, I kind of wish that I stayed and talked longer with him, but it was one of those things. It was near the end of the day, and like I said, he definitely looked like he was extremely tired, and I didn't want to take up too much of his time. But that was a good experience.
Yeah, that's good to know that he was nice too, though. Like even despite he was tired, that he was still nice.
That's big, because you meet people that just got out of bed and they're dickheads. You know what I mean? in the convention, the conventions they've turned into a gigantic money racket nowadays. Like when they first started, dude, I remember I went to the first horror convention I ever went to. I got an autograph from Kane Hodder, who's a great dude. I've worked with him before too. And $5. I paid $5 for an autograph. Now everybody gets $50 just to like shake their hands, dude. It's crazy.
Oh, okay, Matt, you gotta tell the story of you and Jason Momoa.
Oh well, me and Jason Momoa got beef a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah, they
I'm
threw
interested.
down. They're fighting more. They're going to do in the parking lot tomorrow.
It's not real beef. It's fun beef. We make movies. So whenever I go to a convention, I always bring movies and I go around to the guests and I go, hey, I'm not expecting or wanting you to give me some career or anything, but I'm a big fan of you. I respect what you do. I made this film. I'm hoping you could enjoy it. Maybe you'll have a home on your movie collection at home. And if that happens, I'm perfectly happy. And so I got in line to meet Jason Momoa, and I waited like fucking a half hour in line to get to like his assistant. And I was like, can I go in and just say hi? And they were like, no, you got to pay $75. And I was like, I can't just go say, hey. And they were like, no. So like, I was right at the table and I was like, well, fuck that. And I started like walking away, and he gave me that Jason Momoa eyebrow like I was a dickhead. So I gave it back to him. And ever since that, I joked around that we got beef. We don't actually have beef. I tried to get him pulled out of the second Aquaman movie, but I know to no benefit. The thing else, Ernest goes to jail. I love that part when I think it's the best film with the two brothers. I think they're the best.
Yeah. They killed Bobby. Yeah, Bobby and
they're the best in that. I love they're so gun happy. It's so great.
Yeah, they're shooting the fucking toes. The toes pops up.
I love that always when the toes pops up and the brother goes, Bobby, burn him, and he's like, boom. Classic. Yeah.
I love how their lawn is a minefield too. And actually, real quick, since we're talking, last year I was on tour and I was able to go to Nashville for the very first time. So I went on a little Uber quest, and I have pictures too. I was able to go to the bank where they shot jail.
Oh, word.
It's just a regular Bank of America now, but when you look at it, you can tell. You're like, whoa, like that's the fucking bank. I went to the bank, and I went to Ernest's house where they actually shot it. And Bobby's house is actually like 2 doors down, or like in the movie, it's like a next door, like 2 doors down. So you see that, and the house, like you could tell it's different, but you could feel the energy there. I was like, wow. So the nerd I am, I was like taking pics of like me in the house, pics of me in the bank and stuff. So I was able to actually visit. And I talked to the owner that was living at the Ernest house, and it was like a young 29-year-old lady, and I was like, hey, your house is like kind of famous, like semi-famous. And she was like, why? What's going on here? I was like, yeah, there's a guy named Ernest that was awesome back in the day. Yeah, like Ernest Goes to Jail, Ernest Scared Stupid, Ernest Saves Christmas. And she was like, I've never heard of it. I was like, wow. So the person that lived at Ernest's house don't even know it's Ernest. So it's crazy.
If a movie was made in my house, I would have a poster of that movie framed somewhere in the house.
Everywhere.
Even if I didn't like the movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. I worked with a construction worker way back in the day. His name was Daw. He came from Tennessee. I don't know if it's a true story, but he always told me that he was at a friend of his house, and next to his friend was this big Tennessee mansion. and owned by Jim Varney. And he said every summer he'd throw a bunch of parties. So he said they went over there one time. He described the setup as this: it's just Jim running around, hosting with everybody. He said the things he remembered the most is, he said, in every room there was a TV going with, either the commercials or his movies on it. And he said that everybody was doing coke. And he said that Jim Varney took him and the kid upstairs, and they said, he was like, "Yo, I got better coke upstairs." And they went upstairs, and he had this gigantic bowl of coke in like his bedroom that they were doing. And then they went out in the backyard, and people were shooting this gun. And he just said the rounds were huge. And he said it was like $30 a round. It was just like, boo, that is shooting him off into the back of his mansion, which was funny.
Man. So, I mean, Jim was also really close friends with Robin. Yeah. So as much as I love Robin, we know how Robin used to get down. So yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, he's still my hero. It's like and if that's how he get down, hey, I mean, that's probably helped him a little bit with his more zanier performances. So yeah,
I don't give anybody hard times for doing drugs unless they're like bad to people, which both of those guys were very good to people, which is the key to the whole thing. We've talked on the show. Important thing. Yeah, for sure. It's it's a whole different time too. We've talked about that before, where you got these older people on the come up that really, it was a fucking real struggle to get there. And fame kind of can happen overnight nowadays. And I think that you find yourself in people don't really respect it that much. That's why you get people that aren't good to their fans, because it was so quick that they're like, well, I didn't have to work for this. But the older people had to work for it. So they appreciate every single fan that comes along. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think that's the main ingredient is, and even I always say this too. I'm like, hey, if you just finish the show and you're on a rush and, you have somewhere to go, but you have all these fans waiting for you, explain it to them. You'll get their respect. Like, hey, I'm in a rush. Just communication. That's all. Because we often see it where everybody gets cold cocked. An entertainer finishes their thing and just boom, that's it. And like people are like screaming their name. Where are you going? Where are you going? Like we see it all the time. But I always respect the ones that communicate with their supporters. Because that's the thing to me. It's like, hey, if you're having a bad day, someone comes up to you like, hey, can I have the yada yada autograph picture? Just tell them like, hey man, I'm having a bad day. This is what I'm going through. Like, I usually would. And you'll get their respect because you talk to them. Yeah. Like you just talk to them. They're like, hey, he stopped and actually had a moment to talk to me. So I think that's what's important is like, I see it a lot too, like at festivals and shows and film sets and like actors I've worked with. I've definitely seen it where I'm like, damn, you cold cock the hell out of them. That's fucked up. Like, damn, man, it's just a supporter, so.
It's a weird element. I'll never fully grasp it because it's like, even like I feel everybody here is kind of fucking put in their dues and struggled to get to where they are. And it's like you appreciate it more because like with it, that overnight success stuff for the birds, man. It's like it catches up with you eventually.
Absolutely. And you when you go through the struggle and when you go through the I call it character development. That's all it is. It just makes you better. It makes you more aware of things. It makes you learn more things. It makes you be like, hey, okay, now I know not to go down that road. Now I know not to. I've been here before. Now I'm going to go this road. Like, stuff like that. And an example I like that's pretty funny is I want to make movies in the future. So I like watching bad movies. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, I know not to do that. Oh, I know not to do that. Oh, I know now. Oh, they fucked up there. Okay, so I love bad movies just to laugh at, but I also watch it because of that too. So that's just an example I could think of,
Yeah, it was good to hear Jim Varney was a good dude. Like I was telling you a little bit before the show about John Cherry, rest in peace. And there was a time when we were going to do a documentary and we started gathering info and stuff like that. And I was telling you how there was a Ernest the Pirate movie was in development there. They shot enough of it to finish it, but they didn't want to because John said that, Jim wasn't looking too great towards the end of it. But there's actually enough. He wore a wig. He was wearing a wig because of the chemo. but there's enough of it that they could actually release it. They just won't do it. And and I recently found out, which I never knew, that there was actually an idea for an Ernest, like a wrestling Ernest movie. I think it was called Wrestling Ernest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did hear about that one.
it was around the time of the Attitude Era with WWE, and I guess they turned down the idea of doing it because they were very, they were like raucous at that time. Nowadays they're real clean cut. They probably would do an Ernest, but Jim's not here, unfortunately. There was a son of Ernest running around. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the son of Ernest. What's his name?
Billy something.
Clark, yeah, Bill, like Clark, or like not Clark. I know who you're talking about because he dresses just like him.
Yeah.
Someone literally just told me about this like a few weeks ago. Like there's a guy who literally is like son of Ernest. He dresses up and runs around. Yeah.
When I was talking to John about doing that documentary, those are the three. It was the documentaries talked about. He was writing a book at the time, which is out. It's called Keeper of the Clown. My Time with Ernest. Good book. And that movie, they were actually going to do a Son of Ernest movie. Like Cherry was involved with it at one point, which I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, Jim was the magic of Ernest, you know what I mean? Nobody can really, you can't recreate that, you know what I mean? He was so lovable. Yeah.
And I've also heard like it started off as a joke and as a meme, but people seriously started, like, not seriously, but they were really considering John Cena to be Ernest. Really? Have you heard about that?
I've seen the picture that he looks like
the memes. And me, and I'm just like, yo, like don't do it, like, and there was like a small community of people that were actually like campaigning for that in a way. They were like, yeah, we'd love to see John Cena as Ernest. And I'm like, guys, what the fuck? Like, no. Like the son of Ernest, I feel half and half about that. I don't think I would have loved it personally, but I'm like, at least the guy, the son of Ernest guy, at least he has a passion for him, and at least we know that he actually loves Ernest. Yeah. But like John Cena is like, yo, that sounds like a fucking cash grab, or that sounds just like a exploitive, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. I've heard about that one, and I was like, nah.
Yeah, I don't think John Cena has the comic chops to come close to Ernest. I mean, he does have more comic chops than I thought he had. I mean, with the whole Peacemaker movie, TV series, Suicide Squad. But I mean, his humor is, he can play a douche, and he knows he's playing a douche, and he can ham it up. Right. But I think that's about as far as his range can go. At least that I've seen. Maybe he can do something better, but yeah, I definitely cannot see him pulling off Ernest at all.
Yeah, and as like, I don't want to rip on the guy, but if we're talking about acting technical skill, like Jim is here and John's here. like technical skill. Like Jim had dramatic chops, he had the comedy chops, he had different levels of comedy, like he had it all, like Jim, like technically. But yeah, it was just, that was something that I was like, please guys, for the love of God, please don't do that. Please don't do that.
It would have leaned more into comedy, whereas in the Ernest character is like a lovable goof. Like there's way more than comedy going there. It's very layered. Like you like that character. Like you invest in Ernest because he's this lovable goof that would help anybody out, even if it's gonna hurt him. And he's gonna, you know what I mean? He's just like, and it's just the formula. I don't think they would use the correct formula with a new Ernest. Right. I think it would strictly be comedy. It'd be a dummy comedy. There'd be really no heart to it. And the fact he was a smaller dude, I think, John Cena couldn't really pull off the heart, I don't think. Right. I like Cena.
And the movies that we love, like Saves Christmas, Scared Stupid, Jail. These movies, as goofy as they are, there's one or two or three small, subtle, emotional moments. I like to bring that up a lot. Like with Scared Stupid, when Rimshot turns into wood, and then at the end, Rimshot, comes alive. Like that's emotional to me. In Jail, when Ernest breaks out and he's like, Lyle, come on, and Lyle's like, no, I belong in here. That scene always gets me on an emotional level. Like the end Christmas, I mean, come on, like Santa's awesome, and Santa's this lovable Santa, and so that's why I think I gravitated to them so much. It wasn't just a zany comedy, but there was layers to it. Like you said, there was this subtle layers that are like, wow, like that I loved since I was a kid that I noticed. I was like, wow, that part's awesome. But like I noticed I wasn't the zany comedy part, you know? So yeah, so I agree on that too.
Even in camp, even in Ernest Goes to Camp, when he sings that "I sure am glad it's raining." Like I remember
Yeah,
hearing that as a
yeah.
kid, being like, "Ah, man."
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and that's why I love Jim too, because he was a complete actor in a way. I think he had a lot of good fame with Ernest, but I feel like he's still to this day extremely underrated.
For
He's
sure.
like I believe, yeah, it's like extremely underrated.
I think he had that weird catch-22 where the Ernest thing blew him up into stardom, but I think it was hard to get away from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when people gave him the opportunity, he always nailed it. Now, speaking of John Cena, did you ever hear John Cena's rap album, the hip hop album he did?
Yeah, of course, of course, of
He,
course.
it
Yeah.
was actually pretty good.
So,
But yeah,
so
Ghost Riders,
and
I think.
the beats, the beat. So I actually know, if I believe, I believe this is true, but Bumpy Knuckles or Freddie Fox, who I'm a big fan of,
Yeah,
Ghost wrote for John Cena. I believe he actually wrote for John
yeah,
Cena on that album, on the Time Is Now album.
I
Yeah,
think so
it
because
makes sense because yeah, it's really
he's not that
aggressive.
good.
Bumpy is in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
The greatest wrestling hip hop album of all time is Macho Man Randy Savage.
yeah.
What is it, Be a Man or whatever that album's called? That's a great album. And I don't know, he had to have been ghostwritten too. The best part about that is he doesn't swear, but he uses the word retarded, if I remember correctly, which is very like, not now, you know what I mean? It's very an older thing. But yeah, I'll kick your butt. He said, I'll kick your butt and all that. And then I think he called Hogan retarded or something crazy. It's weird. Yeah. But I always like to say that's my favorite wrestling hip hop record. It's good. It's good. You know. Now I know you did a nice like a tribute video to Jim on your YouTube page.
Yeah, and that's why when I made that one, when I made that tribute, I wanted to showcase all of his work. I wanted to showcase the dramatic work. I wanted to show more of his like suspense action. He did a movie called it was a small role, but I put it in there. It's I'm blanking on it right now, but I put it in there because I was like, hey, like he played such a threatening presence in a small amount of time. I was like, wow, this guy, like, he killed that little role. The movie's called The Expert. So in The Expert, Jim plays like this arms dealer. He plays like this arms gun dealer, and he killed it for like the 7 minutes of screen time he had. You're like, wow, he like killed it. So with the tribute, I wanted to just showcase all of his skill. I was like, hey, it's not just the Ernest that I love and that a lot of people love, but he's a complete actor. Like, totally. And I even put the deleted scene of Daddy and Them, the one that I was saying where they cut him out and he was acting his ass off in the whole cast. And you had a cast of Billy Bob Thornton and some really great actors, but Jim in that one scene was literally like acting his ass off. So it was crazy. But that you can for any lovers of Jim, it's my Jim Varney tribute. It's on my Fro Fizzle Reviews channel.
Hell yeah. Go check it out and subscribe.
Thank you.
So we got some Jim Varney in there, you know, very tragic tale, man. Cancer, I think, got him young, died like early 50s, I think, which is quite young.
He died 50, I believe.
50? Yeah.
Yeah.
Very sad, man. I remember when it happened, very sad, you know. I seen the last couple pictures of him. I think he was at like Toy Story 2 premiere or something like that. And he was looking pretty rough. It was sad just to see him looking rough because you love him so much, you know what I mean? So it's like, man, really.
Those pictures bug me out because I remember seeing those pictures when I was young and I didn't think it was him. Like I did not at all. I was like, oh, that's a different guy. You know, it's like it said his name, but I was like, oh, maybe there's a different Jim Varney. But I knew he was in Toy Story, but I was like, the coincidence is weird. So I grew up later and I was like, wow, that's Jim. Like he had the gray hair, he had the hat, and he was bald, and he had like he looked like he kind of looked like an Italian mobster in a way, like in
little
his
bit,
last
yeah.
few days. It was different. I was like, oh, like way different look. But I would have liked to see him in a movie with that look,
That'd
like
be
that,
cool.
like that gray hair and the hat. Like that was, he could have killed that, you know. But
Oh yeah, like a nice, yeah. I want to see that one with as him as the gun stealer. I've never seen that one.
and honestly,
Yeah,
you don't need to watch the whole movie because
is
it's not great.
right.
But the scene is on YouTube. You can look up the Jim Varney scene like on the expert, and
All right, word.
his scene's up there, and it's great. His scene is great.
He's super duper. Yeah, I think he really got burdened by the Ernest thing and the commercial thing. Cause that's what they came up doing, you know, doing commercials, and it just started. I read the book, and it was, you know, the commercials were big, and they were like, let's just make a movie, and they got the money, and it blew up huge. You know what I mean? Very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. All right, well, let's pop back into the hip hop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
So, you know, R.A, we'll bring up R.A. Of course, you were a big fan of R.A beforehand, and when
Yeah.
you found out he was doing this contest, what at that point, how things start rolling out?
Oh, I mean, shoot. So, long story short,
Yeah.
it was I had my birthday's August 29th. So I had put in my entry for the for his contest on the 28th, the day before. I put it out in the air. And on September 6th, the week after, I got in a bad car accident.
Ooh.
And I was in the hospital for 3 days. And on like, I believe on the third day, like right before I was like, they were discharging me, I was getting all these comments on my Facebook at the time, and people were tagging me. They were like, yo, James or Fro, but they're both, I was going by Fro then too, but they were like, yo, Fro, R.A just posted your song. He just posted your track. And I was like, well, word? I was like, because he hadn't posted anybody's track yet at that time. So I was like, oh shit, where'd he post? So they were like, and the caption said, it's going to be really hard to beat this kid. Cause I say 16 at the time, but I turned 17 as like a borderline.
Yeah.
I posted it. I said, yo, R, thank you. I appreciate the post. I love you. I'm a big fan. Thank you. And he's like, yo, where you at in the world? Where you staying at? I was like, at the time, I was like, I'm in Orange County, California, which isn't too far from here, but that's OC. Like, I'm born and raised LA, but I also went to school in OC. So basically California, Southern California. So and he's like, yo, I want to fly out there. Let's meet up. And this was before the contest was done. He's like, hey, let's meet up. Let's talk, and let's talk about the music. So we meet up in Hollywood, of all places, actually. That's pretty funny. So Hollywood, and we do 2 freestyle videos. And after we do those 2, he's like, hey, I'm thinking about signing you. I want to actually like help you with your music and do shows. And this was really new to me, because I was a kid in the room making my own music, like off YouTube beats and Wu-Tang beats, Gangstar beats. And I was kind of doing my own thing. And so when after that, when we met up and the thing started rolling, he was taking me around the world of Europe, doing shows in Germany and France and Switzerland and all these different places. And I was mind blown, because I'm just a kid in the room. Like I never really traveled that much at all, really. So I was like, this is insane to me. So it was a whole new world. He took me under his wing, basically.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the cool, besides that changing my lifestyle, he also he was like, yo, give me a list of your favorite rappers and your favorite producers. And I was like, okay, cool, no problem. So I put them all there. Premier was at the top of my producers. Doom, Sean Price was at the top of my MCs. So he was like, yo, he looked at the paper. He's like, I can get about 75% of these guys. I was like, what? I was like, if you just get one of them, that's crazy. Like, I'm like, you just get one of them, that's amazing to me. So there was a whole week, like at the very start, he took me to New York, where I was like hanging out with him for a good minute. And he took me to New York. It was a whole week straight. So Monday was, I had Sadat X on my list. So Sadat's there, Drez is there from Black Sheep. Then Tuesday is Lord Finesse. Then Wednesday is Pharaoh Monch. Then Thursday, is Pete Rock. Then Friday was Premier. So all in one week, like my mind would like literally completely blown. It was like a hip hop fans like dream, ultimate dream, right? Ultimate dream. And then later, what blew me away, he actually said a couple of years ago, he was like, "Yo, Fro, like, honestly, it's also your talent too. Like they listen to you and they, they reach back out. Usually they don't do that too often, So they were like, yo, they reach back out, they're interested, and they wanted to meet up with you. So it's just mind blowing to me, like the fact, and there's video of me meeting Premiere, and I'm on YouTube, and I'm literally mind blown. Like I'm not even there right there. I'm just like completely like astounded, because if you ask 15 or 14-year-old Fro, like, hey, would you ever think you'd be working with your favorite MCs and producers, like your guys you look up to? And I'm like, nah, I don't think so. I'm just I'm just a guy in the room. I'm just working on the music. It's all good. I love their music. It's all good. But the fact that I actually get to work with them now, and I've worked with them through the years, is it's definitely mind blowing. It's life changing, man, in best way. So
well, you deserve it, dude. You're super dope. I'm
thank
glad, welcome, and I'm glad to see you and R.A linked up. For anybody that out there, R.A the Rugged Man, check. He's also been,
shout him out.
He shout out R.A. Hip hop MC, as well as he dabbles in the films too. I remember he co-wrote Bad Biology with Frank Henenlotter, which is a fun film. And Henenlotter did a music video for him for Bloodshed Hua. That not a lot of people know about that, but I always tell horror fans, I go, you got to check out this video. It's very Henenlotter and very R.A in the same.
Very grimy, very grimy,
I remember back in 2007 to like 2009 or so, I was shooting a lot of hip hop shows out of the city, and one of the people that I got to shoot for was R.A, because when people were coming through, I would like hit them up on social media and be like, hey, you want me to shoot your show for you? And R.A is real cool. He's like, yeah, sure, come on down. And at the time he was shooting a documentary called God Take, God Give. I don't know if you remember that, about his father, Staff Sergeant John A. Thorburn.
Yeah.
And so I shot the show for him. At the end, R.A came up, gave me a big hug, which was great. Dude, MC, you usually don't catch MC giving you a hug, dude. Everybody's all tough and shit, you know what I mean? No one's ever given up. So you're showing love. And I remember after the show, it was me and his dad, which I'm like honored to be able to have this experience. And it was me and his dad stood in the back of the room while he maneuvered through the crowd, meeting his fans. And I remember his dad just telling me, I'm so fucking proud of him. And it was like, it warms my heart, dude. Like today, I get goosebumps just talking about it. Cause like the acceptance, getting that parental acceptance from your parent being able to see that you're doing good and you're accomplishing your dreams is such a beautiful thing. It was really a special moment that I got to be there for. And R.A, I've been a fan ever since, before that, but like, yeah, R.A.'s the shit. That's cool. You guys linking up was great. I know you brought up Doom too. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, John A. Thorburn.
Oh yeah. Before we go, I was gonna say I wanted to show the tattoo. So I actually have John A. Thorburn right here. Oop.
I did.
And it's a double meaning for his son as well, for R.A.'s son. And then Ella is his daughter. So I have his daughter right here, and then I have John. Yeah. So definitely shout out
for sure. I also got to shoot a video for not a video, but a little bit of a show for Sean Price, which is Sean Price is godly, dude. Like so fucking sad when he passed, dude. That was like horrifying. I know you got the Sean P. Yeah. Sean P, he's always a jokester. I met him real quick, shook his hand and all that, gave respect. He was nice to me. I know you're a big fan. That was a devastating loss. And Doom, you're a big fan of Doom. MF Doom's the shit too. Fucking super dope, dude. So fucking. That was a rough year. That was like almost they were a couple years apart actually. I think.
So P was at the top of my list, and I'm always grateful for R.A to make that happen. Like I got to spend time with P for a day, and it's one of my favorite days of all time. Like, well, I'll try and make a long story short, but me and R.A, we picked him up in a taxi at his place in Brownsville, and immediately, like P was a character. Like P was a character in the best way. He was like, he had me cracking on, like laughing on the floor, like immediately. So he's getting in a fight with the African cab driver because they're going back and forth. Da, 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 my friend, you have to go. So we have to switch taxis to go to the studio. So we go from Brooklyn to Queens, and I got to spend the day with P at his studio, and it was just it was the most beautiful but bittersweet thing too, because we were supposed to link up. We hung out on a Wednesday, and then he was like, yo, let's link up again on Friday, you know, and see what's good. I was like, no problem. So 2 weeks later he passed away. So it's like and the energy was really bittersweet too when I saw him, because I was just fanned out. I was like, yo, this is P. I was trying to keep my cool, obviously, but it's obviously like one of my favorite MCs of all time ever, like my top 5 ever. And when people ask me who's your favorite MC, I teeter-totter between R.A and P now, like R.A and Sean P. Like they're almost a tie for my favorite MC ever. And so getting able to hang out with him and just how cool he was also hilarious, but he also had a down-to-earth element to him too. You know, that was you know, in the skits we see how just no fucks given attitude,
right?
You know, like we see the no fucks given attitude with P, and it was amazing. But getting to spend time with them, I also got to see the down to earth element too. Where I was like, wow, P's actually a really good fucking dude, like a real great dude. And yeah, man. And I don't want to say too much, but you know, it was a great, you know, it was a great time with P, and in the future, be able to hear P again soon, you know, so that's cool.
Word up.
Yeah.
I remember just being, I think the whole hip hop community was fucking devastated that day when that came out. It was just, wow, because he really is, dude, like the best. He fucking is, the way he raps and the references he pulls in and shit. I think everybody can get entertainment out of the shit he was saying, you know what I mean? Very tragic shit. Let me see here. We got now when you collaborate,
Sean P might have been the hip hop Jim Varney.
Oh,
like Sean P might have been the black hip hop Jim Varney, because Sean P also did have like a small dramatic thing to him too. You know, that, you know, like he wasn't often a showcase, so we're known for his comedic talent, but he does also have a seriousness to him too. So I can see the similarities between that. Like Sean P could be like a hip hop Jim Varney. Yeah.
He was
They're both my heroes. So.
For sure. You know, when it's a blessing, I guess, to be able to, you know, break bread or get down with features. You know, nowadays a lot of features are just through email, you know what I mean? So right. It's good to be able to sit down with them. You know, I know you also got the feature on the Jedi Mind Tricks album, which was really cool, with Vinny Paz, of course, and God Told Kane.
That was my first official feature.
Yeah.
If I believe, and that was the first time that I ever seen my name on a vinyl, ever. Sure. Yeah, Jedi Mind Tricks. I remember I grabbed the CD from Best Buy. My mom and dad took me. They were like, hey, let's go. You know, I was like, let's go grab the Jedi Mind Tricks album. It was in Best Buy. Got the CD and I got the vinyl, and I looked on it and it said featuring Afro, and my mind was blown.
Right.
I was like, first time I ever seen that on vinyl.
Yeah. Have you gotten down with Vinny? You guys was there a video for that?
No, we never did a video for that.
Have you got down with Vinny? Have you've met Vinny in person?
Yeah, absolutely. A couple times. Vinny, that's like family to me. You know, like Vinny's really, Vinny, gotten to do a couple shows with him through the years. I might have met him a good maybe 4 times through the years, but we actually we hung out in Philadelphia at Vinny's place, at his studio for a little bit. We didn't I don't remember. Yeah, we didn't record the song there, but we did hang out at the Philly studio. Yeah,
Vinny's one of those dudes that I feel like, if you know him, meet him, probably a sweetheart of a person. And then you have the music, which is, I'm just gonna punch you in the fucking face. You know what I mean? I've shot a lot of hip hop shows and rock shows and stuff, and met artists, and I've noticed that the artists that are the most aggressive in their music are usually the most calmest people in life, because they get all that out in their music. You know what I mean? Like Necro, and I met one of the singers of Blood for Blood, which is a big hardcore band that's, you know, very punch you in the facey, but they're like very calm, and you know what I mean? Yeah, Vinny's cool. I like Vinny. I've seen Vinny at the out of all the artists that came through that I wanted to shoot shows for. I never got a chance to shoot a show for Vinny or Jedi Mind Tricks, but I got to see him. Me and Alex did the Gathering of the Juggalos in 2019. We had a booth there selling our movies, and Jedi Mind Tricks was there, so it kind of came full circle, which was kind of cool because I could at least see him. Because for whatever reason, Jedi Mind Tricks never. We did like I shot a lot in the Middle East, in Cambridge and Harper's Ferry. And Jedi Mind Tricks always went to like bigger venues. It was weird. It was a weird deal. I guess they've always. I don't know. I don't know if they were bigger artists because others bigger artists supposedly, than them would go to the Middle East, but it's all booking stuff, I think, and that whole deal. Whoever's booking your concerts.
Right.
How'd the Afro Polo project come up?
Oh, so Marco was actually on my list of producers I wanted to work with, and yeah, and R.A was like, yeah, I work personally with Marco. I got you. So we linked up, and we actually made like a majority of Afro Polo together in Brooklyn, together at Marco's spot. One or two songs, I believe, I recorded on my own at the time, and here in California, but a majority of that was with Marco, and that was really cool, man. I mean, like my favorite beat on the project is Joe Jackson. And I remember like just a cool little moment was it took five every time you had to walk 5 flights of stairs to get to Marco. It's like 5 floors, so you have to all the way up, and you get tired by the time you get to the top.
Yeah.
So it's a workout. So I'm hearing the beat playing like on the 3rd floor. He has his music blasting. And I'm hearing the beat, and I'm like, wow. I'm like, yo, that beat, whoever he's making that for is ill. And I get in there, and he was like, yo, I was like, yo, whose beat is that for? He was like, yo, I'm just making it. I was like, yo, that's mine. I need it, please. I need that one. So Joe Jackson was like a little cool moment because it was kind of euphoric how I was just walking up the staircase, and you can hear the beat through the walls on like the 3rd floor. So it was just a little cool moment where I was like, wow, that beat was like almost like destiny in a way, It was really cool. But working with Marco was really cool. Shout out Marco. That's family to me too. He's a really good dude. I got on a tour around the world with him a couple times too, so that's pretty cool. Like around Canada and Europe, and so it's yeah, one of my partners in rhyme, or partners in crime and hip hop.
Yeah, everybody go grab that album. I know it's on Amazon. That's where I got it.
Thank you. Yeah, Afro Polo, got the vinyls out. I think the CDs are out too, and yeah, pretty much on the net.
And I know you're working right now on like the first debut full album.
Yes.
When's that coming?
Yes, man. Oh man, it's been years in the making, but I feel really good, man. We got the album cover. We got it fully mixed. All the songs are turned in. A couple features, took a little bit longer than usual, but I was more than happy to wait. I was like, yo, no problem, because I love them. So I'm really excited, man. I mean, we're working on the only thing we need to nail right now is a release date. That's the only thing. It's just me and the label figuring out when we're going to put this out. But I'm really strongly pushing for this year, like last quarter this year. And and since that, I got the first music video single coming out this Wednesday on the 7th. It's I dropped the single already, Good Morning Fro, but we're going to release the video for it this Wednesday.
And that Good Morning Fro's on your YouTube page right now. Everybody check that out too. And the video. Hit the video.
Thank you.
Give the video the hits more. Yeah. This will be coming out soon. Maybe Monday. Hawk, what do you think? No? When's the other we had Peter Jason on the show recently. He's dropping this from like They Live and a bunch of John Carpenter and Walter Hill films.
Yeah, Peter Jason would drop in actually on the 12th.
Okay. So by the time you guys hear this, you can go check that video out. You know what I mean? For sure.
Thank you. And it's if anybody's wondering, it's the YouTube channel, because there's a couple afros out there. My YouTube channel is the Afro with the dashes. It's A-F-R-O.
Okay.
And then if you I do the movie reviews on my Fro Thizzle reviews, but I also started up a new beat channel. I also make beats. So if anybody wants to listen to some Fro beats, I'm I'm getting the movie reviews and the Beat channel off the ground. But yeah, they're definitely there to look forward to.
Yeah. So, and we'll talk a little bit about film. I know you've done some acting and some, filmmaking, and done some shorts. You know what I mean? Who do you, as a filmmaker, where do you think your biggest influences pull from?
Oh man, I mean, shit. I would say, well, my favorite filmmaker is Romero.
Hell yeah.
But there's still a fuck ton that I have to learn. I'm still in the very amateur process of filmmaking, and I humbly say that because I know my weaknesses,
Yeah.
So but definitely, but I would say my favorite filmmaker is Romero, and but as far as like me trying to like have like my use in angles and stuff like that, I really love Spike Lee's early work for his camera work and his like the dolly shots and stuff like that. I always loved that as a kid, so I can definitely see me in the future kind of like being influenced by some Spike Lee camera work. And strangely, I love a lot of the OG. They're a little goofy, but I love it. The OG westerns and a lot of the Lucio Fulci close-ups on the eyes, and I love stuff like that too. I can see how people would think it's a little cheesy, but I like it. I think it has a nice little energy, funny energy to it. Yeah. So I like those Western fast close-ups where it's like, like that. I love shit like that. So
yeah, you got it's like it's like Sergio Leone was like kind of the master of it, and then they had like the spaghetti westerny, everybody exploitation westerns that came in type deal,
Right. Yeah, and Leone's one of the top people I would think of off the top of my head. Like definitely like one of the greatest ever.
He really is. He doesn't.
One of the best.
He's been gone so long that unfortunately people, with time people stop appreciating you. But he really is like one of the best there ever was. You know what I mean?
Well, I gotta say, I mean, when it comes to film, especially if you're starting out, I mean, I'm assuming that none of us have millions upon millions of dollars to
speak for yourself. Speak for yourself.
But I always tell people that you gotta go back to like the 40s, the 30s,
right.
Yeah, get there, because the great thing about those films is the fact that they didn't have any special effects.
Right.
And the fact is that the ones they did that you can easily do yourself, and it always focused more on story. So I always tell people, if you want to get into film and all of that, start simple. Grab some like films that are based off of plays, so that gives you a easier framework to work with, and then build upon that. And I mean, heck, you watch like 12 Angry Men. That film, you got 12 extremely talented actors in one room, and the close-ups and all that. It's one of those films where there's like no like physical action, no one's beating each other up, but the camera itself becomes so much of the action, and builds on the claustrophobic of that room, that I always tell people that you want to do any film, like you gotta watch that film, because that's when the action is the camera itself.
It's an incredible film. Incredible. Oh, yeah. I just recently rewatched the OG Frankenstein, 1931. Yeah. And I was watching it and I was like, hey, like the electricity parts and stuff like that, I was like, wow, how they were able to pull that off for 1931. I was like, that's pretty sick. Like I was thinking that while I was recently rewatching it, I was like, how they're pulling off the little effects and everything is crazy. Like no CGI, because like if you watch a movie nowadays and there's electricity, it's 90% of the time going to be CGI nowadays, which sucks. It's like, why it's kind of cheaper to go to Frankenstein route and just modernize it and just do practical stuff.
And it looks better. It looks so much better.
I agree. I hate CGI. When it comes to, I'm a blood and gore guy in movies. So when I see CGI blood and guts, it really throws me off. I'm not a fan. So I love a big reason why I love The Thing, John Carpenter, is because of the practical effects. Like it's fucking phenomenal. Like I think those effects are like 10 out of 10. Like it's like incredible. Like like how they're able to do that and just top everything that's like come out damn near since, like damn near, like especially nowadays, it's like wow, you know,
Yeah, the effects in the thing are like so effective. They're like
crazy.
nothing can really compete with them. It's crazy. Nothing. It's insanity.
As a kid, like the spider fucked me up as a kid, the spider head,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
and then when the chest opens up, the famous scene, like
yeah.
like that shit fucked me up, and then yeah, like so, and then when the head starts ripping off, like it's like
Yeah.
crazy, like so, and the dogs, the fucking dog scene is crazy, like
Yeah.
those effects are amazing, man.
It's a masterful film, man. We're trying to get Carpenter on here. We just had one of his friends on. It was funny because I go, Alex like this part. We were talking. He brought up Carpenter. I'm like, I'm a huge Carpenter fan, and he goes, "Well, John Carpenter's a big Matt Fisher fan," and like I froze, dude. And I never freeze, but I was like, my mind fucking blew apart when and I know it was a lie. You know what I mean? But my mind fucking annihilated. It was like,
Honestly, that was Matt's biggest like fan moment ever. You know, he looked like a deer caught in the headlights.
I pride myself with being able to try and keep it going without breaks. You know what I mean? And then like I was just like I had no idea what to say at that point. I was just blown away. You know what I mean? How did you get involved in the breaks?
Oh, so I was working with DJ Premier at the time, and we were working on music, and his manager knew that I love movies and had an interest in acting, so he was like, hey, there's a show called The Breaks. It's a VH1 production. We have Primo working on the music. He's going to be the music supervisor and the composer. So, and he was like, hey, if you want an audition, I'll get you. I was like, absolutely. So he got me to audition, but I had to go through 3 rounds of auditioning. The first time was just a simple script read. The second time, I believe, was a chemistry test, and then with other actors. And it was crazy because I was seeing actors I watched as a kid, like Mark John Jeffries and like different actors that I just knew because I was a nerd. I was like, oh, yo, that's homie. Like, what? He's here? And it was crazy seeing that they didn't make the show. So I was like, what the fuck? I was like, those are like guys that are way better actors than me. So I was like, that it tripped me out. So the second one was a chemistry test, and then the third one was final. And I was originally reading for the bad guy role, the guy with the scar on his face. I was reading for his role, the bad guy, or not really bad guy, but the intimidating guy,
the misunderstood guy.
Yeah. And they were like, hey, we're not sure if you fit for this role, but we have a role called D-Rome that we see you as, and we'd like you to read. So the first time was the scar guy one, second time was a chemistry test, and then the third one was D-Rome. And then I landed that one. They were like, yeah, you're D-Rome. So I was like, well, so I was just grateful to pretty much get any role that was a speaking role. You know, I like it. I'm happy being the 7th build casted guy. I'm happy being, you know, just as long as I have a speaking role. And you know, it's less pressure for me being the first or third guy because it's way more lines and way more, you know, attention on the spot. So I'm with that one, I'm super grateful with the role I got because it wasn't like a small role, but it wasn't a big role either. It was like it was a good role for me. And it was a good way to build myself up, like to learn. Because I was on the film set, like we shot the breaks for like a good, because we did the TV show and then we did the TV movie, and then they picked us up for the TV show. So the movie lasted like, I'm gonna say a good 2 or 3 weeks. Shooting on set, and then the TV show was like probably the same, a good 2 or 3 weeks. So I was just being a nerd. Like I'm quiet in the background. I'm looking at the camera operators. I'm looking at this guy, the grip. I'm asking like, hey, you know, what's your job? What do you do? You know, I'm just being that guy, but like in a cool way. Like I'm just trying to, you know. And they were cool. They're like, yeah, you know, I do this. So it was just I took the breaks as like a good learning thing too for me.
Yeah. You know, sponge it up type deal. A lot of that is it, you know what I mean? Just getting on there, and you get to work on bigger crews and bigger, you know, with bigger folks and stuff, and you got to kind of soak it all in, you know what I mean? Like Ryan Gosling years ago directed his first movie, Lost River.
Yeah, Lost River,
and it had huge Nicholas Winding Refn like feel to it. because he just came out of doing those movies with them, Drive and Only God Forgives, which are masterpiece films. You know, I really love Refn a lot. I think he's great. And I even like Ryan Gosling, even though he's a pretty boy, I still like him. He's a talented dude. You know what I mean? Now, I know that you and Jim Varney share the same pain in one aspect. You have both wound up on the cutting room floor.
Oh, yes.
Now, you were a part of, you were Arcade in Good Times.
Yes.
Sadafi Brothers, I think it is.
Yeah. Actually, I filmed the scene for Good Time. It was me. It was my friend Scrooge. We shot in Long Island in New York. We were in Long Island, and I was gonna be you can see, I'm not in the movie, but you can see what my scene would have been. Yeah. It's where the guy's in the back seat and he's like flashing back, and like you can see an arcade tiny bit. You can see like an arcade. And we actually shot a scene. They were like, all right, action, and we're just shooting like guns at like the games and the arcade games. So I would have been one of the guys at the arcade just like having fun. But yeah, I got cut at a Good Time. But it's, you know, it's all love because I have that story, which is pretty cool too. You know, I'm like, hey, you know, I would have been in Good Time. So. Yeah, Good Time was the first time they kind of popped on my radar, and you know, it was the return of Robert Patterson. That's his name. Right? Yeah. And you know, he's like, he kind of fits into that category of like there's a couple younger actors that kind of blew up quick. The same thing with the Harry Potter kid, where they blew up and they did those monster huge movies, and then they disappeared for a little bit, but they came back doing independent stuff, which is like the best route to take, I feel. Yeah. Did you get to work with Benny and Josh, get a vibe for them at all when they were directing Good Time? I believe they weren't there. I believe it was probably the second camera operator or somebody else that was like helping, like a major help with the production. I was supervising, because looking back, I don't remember seeing those guys, Josh or Benny. I don't remember seeing those guys, but I remember like someone else like taking control of the shoot for that scene. I believe. I could be wrong, but I can't remember, because I know how they look. I can't remember those guys at the set. Yeah, they have a very distinct look for sure. Yeah, because the one guy has like the long hair and the beard, and then the other one's the one in the movie clean shaven. Yeah. They fucking blow up to a whole new level now. They're probably top 5 filmmakers doing movies, period, right now, which is kind of cool. You know, the Uncut Gems was a lot of fun. I love Uncut Gems. Yeah. Love Uncut Gems. I thought Good Time was a decent film. Yeah. I had my problems with it, but I think Uncut Gems is like nearly a perfect film. Like I love Uncut Gems. I think agree. In my opinion, personally, I think it's Adam's best performance ever. Like ever. I agree. I remember we did an Oscar episode, and I remember saying how like he was foxed, dude. They cheated him heavy on that. He definitely, because like Sandler is he's not kind of like Varney. He's known for the comedy stuff, and whenever he branches into dramatic, he always does great. But they never give him respect for it. It's underappreciated, and I 100% agree that he was completely snubbed that year. Like I'm a fan of Leo. Like I like Leo, and I liked Hollywood. I liked Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But I was like, yo, like I thought Adam was fucking like. Adam had like Leo had layers too, but Adam was like. It was so great seeing him transform into something like that, where you're like, whoa, like, and I don't want to spoil, but it's not a happy ending. Like that's what messed me up. I was like, yo, like this is such like a non-Adam Sandler movie in the best way, you know? It's like, wow, like that's why I want to see him do like more mob films, like hopefully a Scorsese film or something in the future or something. I would love to see him in that. Like I think he would kill it. You know, unfortunately or fortunately, I think the only way anybody will give him respect for dramatic film is with a Scorsese movie or something. Yeah, or something of that caliber. Because Tarantino was going to put him in Inglourious Bastards, but he put Eli Roth instead of or Adam went on to film Funny People at the same time, because Adam was like, hey, I'd love to do it, but I have scheduling conflicts with Funny People. So Adam Sandler was going to be the baseball guy, the Donnie. Really? Adam Sandler was going to be Donnie, the baseball guy. Wow, and, I didn't know that. There's a YouTube video of when you hear the bat on the wall. Yeah. There's a YouTube video of Adam Sandler's voice, like how it would have been, like whoo, 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 like so. It's like funny, but honestly. I think Adam would have killed that role, man. I think like
Yeah.
Adam would have did his thing because like I'm not a huge Eli Roth fan personally.
Yeah.
That's just me personally. I do like Cabin Fever and I do like Hostel 1,
Yeah.
but and I'm slipping on one other film, but
Knock Knock was
but,
pretty good.
yeah, Knock Knock. I got to rewatch. I kind of I was like in a different headspace on that watch,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think Adam would have did a great job as Donnie. I think he would have killed it.
It's you know, seeing Eli Roth in it, it's kind of hard to envision Adam Sandler. I think he could have done a great job with it. But I never knew that. That's wild casting.
Yeah, so like if Adam was in a Tarantino movie like that, I'm sure he would have gotten way more respect as like a more dramatic actor.
I remember when him and Paul Thomas Anderson did Punch Drunk Love. I don't think he got any love for that either, and that was a really fucking great movie.
You got no love for that film, and I love that. I love Punch Drunk Love.
Yeah,
great movie.
On Paul Thomas Anderson, the last time we had a guest on here, we got into Paul Thomas Anderson, and he's a dude that I'm a huge fan of him, but his last 3 films, I just kind of missed the mark for me a little bit. You know what I mean?
I didn't see Licorice Pizza. I think Phantom Thread might have flew over my head a little bit, but I wasn't. I love Daniel Day-Lewis and I do like Anderson, but I think Phantom Thread wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah.
And then what was the one? Inherent Vice.
Inherent Vice.
Yeah. That one I think I wanted to love just a little bit more, in my opinion.
I remember like. I remember like right before, like I worked with Eric Roberts right after The Dark Knight and right before the Inherent Vice movie, and I was so excited because I go, oh shit, he's going from us to a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, so I had a lot of high hopes for it, and then I watched it and I was like, but yeah, in Inherent Vice, Phantom Thread, and Licorice Pizza, which everybody was saying was great, dude.
Yeah, people love Licorice Pizza. I haven't seen it. I have the screener because I'm in SAG and SAG sends you the screeners and stuff. I still have Licorice Pizza, but I have so many movies on my watch list. So I'm like, I'm gonna get to it eventually. But I wasn't running to see Licorice Pizza.
It's on Amazon now, and I watched it and I was like, man, this is like a dud kind of. Like nothing really happens. It's long and nothing really happens. And
yeah,
I think people from that era will appreciate it. If you grew up in that era, I think it's one of those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Sandman, dude, Uncut Gems, and it's masterful filmmaking because the whole film's so fucking suspenseful.
Yeah, it's like claustrophobic. It's
super,
like really intense. Yeah, it's
super duper, dude. Like once they start bearing down on him, you like feel that. You're like, oh shit. And then the ending's ridiculous. And the dude from talk radio, what's his name?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Like Barry, what's his name?
Yeah, it's
Eric.
Eric Bogasian.
Yeah.
Eric Bogasian. He was great in it too. I thought he was superb in Uncut Gems, and it's kind of a, for anybody out there that hasn't seen it, go see it. I think it's on Amazon as well, and they're like cousins in it, but like they're both like his cousins in the mob, but he's not. He's just like a jeweler, and like he owes the mob money, and like his cousin tries to help him out a little bit. I like the dynamic of like when they go to dinner and like that those
and it's tense, they're looking at each other,
they have beef, but like they keep it civil for like family. I always thought that was a great element to it.
I love that scene. You guys can't tell, but I have a fucking Uncut Gems poster right here.
Yeah,
and I have a big Jim Varney Ernest Scared Stupid poster right here. So
fuck yeah.
Now posters in the room too.
I have
it's blurry, but I have a Day of the Dead poster behind me too.
Fuck yeah. 3D, coming to 3D in Halloween time.
Yeah.
I know you also were on the Jim Fallon show. That was a big pop. That had to have been a big pop at the time for getting a lot of, that was like kind of right after the contest, I think. Was that an R.A? Was that kind of an R.A connection dealie, or
actually, from what I understand, Fallon reached out to us. Fallon watched that their team watched a couple of the freestyles that I had, and they were like, "Hey, we're interested in bringing Afro to the show." And they actually reached out to us, which was I didn't know that until maybe a few years after that I actually performed. Like I didn't know because R.A was ill with it. R.A was like, he was great on surprises in the best way. You know, he'd be like, "Yo, Fallon wants you on the show." I'm like, "What?" You know, so like shit, like, you know, ill stuff like that. But yeah, later on, I found out that they were like, "Yeah, they reached out to you. They reached out to us." So I was
Word.
like, damn, so that was pretty cool. But honestly, bro, that day was awesome. Like, long story, I have 4 mini stories that I'll try to make short. Like, the first one was the show. We had a rehearsal before the show. It was they were pulling stuff out the box, but it was completely different things. So I was like, the first rehearsal is different stuff. I was like, cool. I do the show, and I mean, I get to meet Questlove. Questlove comes backstage. He's like, "Hey, what tempo do you want the band to play?" I was like, "Hey man," I was like, "Let's try to go for like a Chub Rock, Treat 'Em Right. Let's go a little fast." And then we tried it for the rehearsal, and then Quest was like, "Yeah, is it cool if we go a little slower?" I was like, "No problem at all. It's all love. It's all." So we went at the Cream tempo, at the Wu-Tang Cream tempo, and it was amazing, man. They were really humble. Questlove is like probably he's huge. He's like probably like a bit taller than me. I'm 6'3". I'm 6'3". He's probably like 6'4", 6'5", around there. He's tall. And Black Thought was an incredible experience, bro. Like, I'm backstage. This is a little bit after I performed, and I see a couple like big bodyguard guys, and then I see like, I don't know why, like, because Black Dot is so incredible with his pen. Like, I thought he would be like a 6'5" guy too, but I look down and he's probably like a good 5, maybe 5'6", and that's not taking a jab at him at all. It's just how it surprised me, you know. So I look down and he's just like, "Yo, young man, you nice." I was like, "Oh shit!" Like mom, like how you said your mom was blown. That's how I felt. I was like, "Yo, Black Dog just said I'm nice." Like, whoa, like that blew me away. And 2 more stories. So I just finished after not the rehearsal but the final show. I just finished. I'm walking backstage. I have artist doubts. So I was like, "Oh, I don't know how I did. I don't know how I did." I was nervous as shit. I felt like I was going to shit myself. That's how nervous I was. So I'm like, I just finished. I'm walking backstage and I'm like, "Hey, you know," I'm just kind of like, "All right, I hope I did good." Then I see a hand stick out in front of me and say, "Hey, that was good. You did a good job." And it's Jay Leno. And Jay, like out of nowhere, Jay Leno, he's just like, "Yeah, that was good. I like that. That was a good job." I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "Oh shit, Jay Leno, thanks." And he was on the same episode, basically as a like, "Hey, Fallon, you're doing good with my show," basically kind of thing. And so I was like, wow, that surprised me. That was cool. But the coolest experience besides Black Dot and Quest, and MJ too, but Jeff Goldblum, man, yo, this dude is the coolest motherfucker ever. Like I'm backstage. I have my New York, my big bro with me, Scrooge, and Scrooge, if he wants to, he can get in some shit. Like, he's the help. Like, he's like, I don't have a bodyguard, but if I have somebody with me, it's Scrooge. And when we saw Jeff Goldblum takes a corner, he looks at us and he just goes like, "Hey, what's up?" And me and Scrooge looked at each other like, we just started fangirling, like, like just fanboying, like going crazy. So Jeff Goldblum comes up and he doesn't know Scrooge from a hole in the wall. He gives Scrooge a big like bear hug, like a big bear hug. And I was like, "Yo, this is the coolest dude ever." And we just taking pics with him. And he was just like, "Hey man, yeah, keep this." Coolest dude ever, like out of nowhere. It was like a movie scene, but in a funny way, you know. So I didn't expect that. Like, he was like, yeah, really laid back. But yeah, Fallon was a really cool experience just because of everything like happening, like boom, 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 boom. You know, it was pretty crazy.
Now it's live, right? The show's live.
Yeah, it was live. Yeah, it was.
Oh, that's gonna be super intense. You know.
I was nervous.
Paint me a picture real quick. So like, you're waiting behind the curtain. Fallon's doing his deal, winding it down, introducing you, and you just pop out there and you do they tell you like if you get caught up? I mean, you're just kind of screwed, or are they able to if there was an issue, would they be able to bring it back?
That's actually cool. You brought that up. I didn't even think about that. Like, we didn't even. They basically said, "Hey, it's live. You know, like we don't really do mistakes. You know, it's live. We roll through with it." But like, there wasn't really like a, "Hey, you know, if you screw up, you know, it's live." It was more like a, "Hey, we're live." So like, I didn't even think about that. Like, if they had told me something like that, I would have been even more nervous. If they were like, "Oh, you know, it's live. You can't screw up." You know, like, I would have been shitting bricks. Like, oh fuck, because I was already nervous. So, it was a cool, like, I can see it like now. I was behind the curtain. They have TVs, like TVs backstage of like what's going on there, like live. So I'm just kind of I'm looking there. I'm thinking about when you're at, that was like one of the first big like showcases ever for me. So it was at that scale. So I was like, I'm thinking about family. I'm thinking about all that stuff. So right when they're like I know my cue, they tell you the cue of when you're gonna go. So like I'm warming up to that cue and I could just feel like all that, like all the, all the nervousness. And I was just like, wow, like it's your time to shine kind of thing. So, and it's like, hey, ladies and gentlemen, Afro. So I walk out and it's just boom. It was different than the rehearsal because the rehearsal didn't have people there. It was just like us and the team. But when the show actually pops off, yeah, people are there, people are watching in the crowd and on, at home. So it was it was definitely intense. It was intense, yo.
Yeah, man, you got a little like 300 to 500 people probably in crowd, and then you got millions of people watching at home, dude. That's something. That's some tension right there. You know what I mean? But it went off without a hitch.
It felt like a movie scene too. It felt like it was like a very out of body experience in a way, kind of. But I was still nervous too at the same time.
Oh, for sure, man. So, we're coming to an end on this big old discussion interview. You know what I mean? This was a lot of fun, James, man. You're always welcome back. We'd love to have you on again just to talk film and promote projects in the future.
No problem, man. I'd love this setup, man. You guys are awesome. I'm a nerd. I'm a gigantic nerd. So yeah. I feel very welcome with how the background is right here. Like I'm just saying, as soon as I saw the background, I was like, oh, I'm at home. I'm good. I'm good. So I'm in good hands. So
that's why I have it. He does the den. He does the opium den background.
Hey. I do the geisha background. Okay,
yeah.
I got some geisha girls back there. When we're done, I'll go for a nice massage, deep tissue massage. Get me ready for the next interview.
Fuck yeah! So we'll have everybody will be on the lookout for the new album. And then where do you want give the people the YouTube page real quick? They can check out the YouTube page or anywhere you want them to kind of look into you.
No problem. So on my YouTube, my main one for my music is Afro with the dashes, A-F-R-O. I have the movie review page, and I also do tributes and commentaries and reactions. That one's Fro Thizzle Reviews, THIZZLE.
Yeah.
And I also make beats. That's Fro Thizzle Beats. And I have that. I have all the social platforms. I have the Instagram, the Facebook, Twitter. Instagram's All Flows Official. I have an IMDb, Afro with the dashes. If you want to look for any future productions that I'm going to be involved in, or anything I'm going to be making in the future, and yeah, that's about it, man. That's all I can think of. Single for the first video for the first single of the album is this Wednesday on my main Afro YouTube page.
Support this man. He is the leader of the generation.
Heck yeah.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
I'll ask you one last question. We have a lot of artists that watch and listen to the show, from directors, actors, musicians, comedians, authors. Do you have any maybe advice for somebody that someone who's in the creative process that finds themselves in a slump, finds themselves really get kicked in the balls by the medium around them, because it happens all the time, and just some kind of morale raiser that you kind of use for yourself or for close friends or whatever, that to kind of keep people pepped up and not so gloomy in a gloomy world. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So this is for me personally, how I try to maintain my focus and how I try to maintain just my level of sanity in this crazy world.
Yeah.
I do my best to stay creative, and I try to have different things up my sleeve. So if you're sticking on one thing like a music per se, or if you're sticking on just like one certain talent and you get stuck in that rut, move on to the next one. And that can mean anything, any little thing. Like if you're talented at editing, if you're talented at writing, if you're talented at painting, if you're talented at, car engineering in a cool way, or if you want to be a stuntman, or if you want to, like, there's so many lanes and levels of things that I feel like people have in them, or hidden talents that they might not, that if they don't find immediately, they eventually will find, and that's how I feel. Like me growing up, like slowly but surely, I started off just doing like I always loved movies, but I always wanted to be a rapper first. I was like, acting, sure, but I didn't think it was realistic. I was like, me, I just want to be my own rapper. And then growing up, I started thinking like, hey, now I want to seriously pursue the acting. And then I started putting that up my sleeve. And then later on, I didn't think I'd ever make beats. So out of nowhere, that came when I got some inspiration working with Premiere and working with my favorite producers. I got bit by the bug. I was like, wow, now I want to make beats. So I started just having these things up my sleeve. And the more I stay creative, the more sane I feel. Like the more that I can have my hands into things where I can get my mind off stuff, or I can use it towards the things I'm doing. Like if I'm making a song and I'm just have all these raw feelings, I'm gonna put it in the song. Or if I have, like, if I want to make a statement, or if I want to have something that I love or a passion project out there, and I have the tools, I'll make a movie, or I'll write a script, or there's so many things that people can do, where one of my advices is try not to stick at one thing only. That way you can bounce back and forth. And I believe that everybody has more than one talent. I believe that people are good at least like 2 or 3 or 4 things, like hidden talents that they will unlock eventually. And to get yourself out of that slump and with how crazy things are, I would say just try to focus on yourself as best as you can, your family. And with me being creative just helps me out of that slump, and it helps me get my mind off things. And I can use that, well, with the world's going on, I can use that and put it towards what I'm working on as well. I could just utilize it and just and use it as a crutch, or something that I could use.
Yeah.
So definitely we all have slumps. I don't care how big your success is or how small your success is. Everybody's going to have a slump, or everybody is going to have an artist doubt. People can front and act like they're 100% confident all the time, but they're not.
Yeah.
They're going to be at least maybe 90 or a good 90% confident, which is good, but everybody has artist doubts, or everybody has just their doubts in general.
Yeah.
So it's good to just be human too. Be human, like just be, when you're in a slump, just let people know, or put it into what you're working on. Just like, make a statement out of it, or if you don't keep it all bottled in either.
Yeah.
So that's what I would think. That's what I would say.
Yeah, never bottle it up. Art expression, you know what I mean? That's being an artist is expressing yourself. So never stop expressing yourself, and I think you'll be pretty cool.
And everything you say, like every song you make, doesn't have to be in the public, view. Like it always feels good writing it down on a piece of paper, and now it's out. You're like, okay, I have it on this piece of paper. I feel better about myself. That's at least for me too. Like if I have raw emotions, or I'm just like, if I get in my fuck the world moods or stuff like that, just put it on a piece of paper, or put it in something that you can have. Not, not everybody needs to have it, so. There's definitely ways to just get it off your chest.
Have you ever recorded songs that just went into the archive box and not released to the public?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. I literally have, I call it the Fro Vault. I have the Fro Vault. Inspired by Prince, because Prince has like thousands and thousands of like music and projects that are in that vault. So when I heard that story a couple years ago, that inspired me to just like organize my vault. And I have stuff in my vault that people will hear from years from now. Like I have tons of stuff, and that's why I want to get this debuted out, and hopefully people appreciate the debut, put a lot of work into it, and there's a lot to it too. I'm not going to take as long as I did with the second album or the third album. It's going to be a little more steady, but in the meantime, I just got to get that debuted out.
And nobody should ever get mad at anybody for taking a distance, because you can only release it once. It's got to be perfect. It's got to be where you want it to be. That one, you know what I mean?
So, and I get comments every day, man, for the past like couple of years. Like at least I wake up to once a day. Where's the album? When's it dropping? You said you were gonna drop it this time. Why didn't you? I was like, damn, bro. Like I'm trying. Yeah, like I'm trying my best, yo. Like damn, like I'm trying to put the pieces together in the puzzle and make it work for everybody. But
You see
but
that?
yeah.
That's when you tell them, says, okay, where's your album then? How about you drop your album and then I'll drop mine?
No, that's when you tell them you want a screen grab of the receipt of them buying that album the day that it comes out. If they're going to complain about it so much, they better support it when it comes out. Sure. It's that was great advice that you gave. It reminded me, I heard Corey Feldman recently in an interview talk about what he thinks the difference was between why Corey Haim kind of went in a bad direction and he didn't, even though he kind of did, but he doesn't like talking about his bad direction. But he said that the Hamster, the issue that he had is that he didn't have family in the business. You know what I mean? And when you're in the business, your family will say, okay, yeah, you're going to have a slump. It's kind of why we like asking this question, because it's like, yeah, you're going to get into a slump. It just happens with the business. But people that are outside of the business, when they hit that slump, they go, it's over. Everything's gone. And that's why they'll go bury themselves in drugs and alcohol and all that shit, because they don't understand that, okay, it's tough right now, rebuild, pull it back, gear yourself up. In a couple of years, you'll be back on top again. And when you don't know that, it's fucking devastating. You know what I mean?
When you're in a slump, it feels like there's an end. There's like your back is against the wall and you feel like it's over. So you resort to stuff like that. You resort to the hard drugs and you resort to the alcoholism, and it's very deadly. It's very deadly because and when someone is in that slump, I would never tell anybody how to live their life, but I would say, there's another way. Right. It doesn't have to be that way, it doesn't. When your back is against the wall and it feels like there's no way out, there is a way out, and there is a way that you can rebuild yourself up. It's all about, like, if you're caught at a dead end, it's all about restoring. It's all about like a resurrection in a way, like refixing yourself for your image and coming back strong and coming back strong for the people, because those slumps are brutal. Those slumps are very, very brutal. Very brutal.
It takes people every day, man, those slumps.
Yeah, very brutal. And before you mention, I know this is a serious topic, and my apologies for this, but you brought up Corey Feldman. Yeah. So I am a Corey follower, I'm not a fan of his music, obviously, but I am. I'm half and half with him because I appreciate his fight against the sickos in Hollywood. I'm a big supporter of that side, but Corey is also very high on his horse when it comes to the music making and stuff like that. He thinks he's a genius, and this isn't a hit piece on him at all. But if you go on my Fro Thizzle reviews, I have some reactions to Corey Feldman videos. So I have ripped on Corey a good amount, but I do at the same time I do appreciate his stance against Hollywood and the sickos. So like, as much as I do rip on him a lot, I do have that angle too. So, and I do follow, like, there's these guys called the Bonfire and stuff like that.
Oh, Big J.
Yeah, that's why when you said the Hamster, I was like, yo, Bonfire. I was like, because that's what they're like. They call them Fell Dog and Hamster. So I'll be watching those, man. I watch them a lot. That's me and my close friend actually watch them a lot. So
I'm glad to hear
that. Yeah, when you brought that up, I was like, oh shit, that's funny.
I'm glad to hear you like the Bonfire. We love the Bonfire here.
Yeah, they're a mess in the best way. Like they have the best Corey Feldman impression. It's the funniest shit ever.
Yeah. We had Ralph on the show, Ralph Sutton, who is like does the SDR show with Big J.
Is he one of the voices in the back too?
He might be. I know that he's every now and then he'll pop on. They always give him a hard time for looking like Frankenstein, because he's a big, tall dude, and he's really great, dude. We had Zach Amico on the show, but he does like Real Ass Podcast and all that. With Gas Digital's a good deal. I always love hearing people bring up Bonfire, because when it's one of the best podcasting shows out there. They're real fun. It's a good fun show.
And when you said hamster, that immediately reminded me of Bonfire, because that's what they call them and stuff. So I was like, yo, that's hilarious.
We've been we've been trying to get Feldog on the show for fucking a year. We've talked to his people. It's okay. Don't feel bad, because we've given the Feldog some hard times on the show before ourselves. So don't worry about that.
And I don't want to put a hit piece on them, but I just recently I know someone very well who knows one of the Angels.
Oh yeah,
and so that was pretty trippy, hearing a little inside scoop on that. I had a little inside scoop on how the tour bus looked like and how like the conditions were. So yeah. I don't want to put a hit piece on Corey, but it's Corey has a lot to him. There's a lot of stuff to him, so yeah, it's crazy.
I heard he runs his program like a what is that in third world countries where they get the kids making sweatshop, where it's almost like a sweatshop formula. But we all love Corey here. We all love the Feld Dog. Keep it.
At the end of the day, I can't lie like I don't watch Corey a lot. I do.
Corey's great, dude. Even his if you're gonna go with his 80s movies alone, he's fantastic. And
absolutely.
Corey's another dude that it's his environment. I think he kind of came up in a real fucked up situation too. So like, you have fame, and then another thing that I think is a huge problem that happens with people is when they have the fame and then they don't have it. I think that's when they truly go crazy. You know what I mean? And no offense to him, he lived a life that none of us can relate to, because he was from the age like 8 up. Everybody know who he is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, he felt like. That's why I can never take that away from him. Like, I mean, the dude fucking killed Jason when he was like only like 12 or like 11, 10, 9 years old. Like that's legendary. Yeah. But he has legendary moments. But I mean, that's why I like to make a point too. Like, we're not all perfect, but the thing that gets me with him is that how high on his horse he is with the music. Right. Just as far as like him thinking that. I don't want to shit on him too much, but yeah, we know what we mean. Yeah, we know.
Yeah. He knows, we know, everybody knows. You know what I mean? I think him praising his music up is a gimmick. I think it's something that he doesn't fully believe, but I think that he thinks that if he puts out that persona, that's
the thing is, like, if he's trolling, then I think he's a genius. But if he literally thinks that he's very talented as far as making the music, then I'm like, come on, man. Like, but if he's trolling, then I'm like, bro, you're a genius. You're a fucking genius, But yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I think he's trolling a little bit, because the music he plays hasn't even really been relevant for fucking like 20 years. No offense to the dude, you know what I mean? But like, realistically, he loves it, which you do what you love, of course, but he does. He thinks that tomorrow he's going to be all over. I don't even think radios exist anymore, but he'll be all over like fucking, I don't even know. What is for a musician, what your biggest platform is? Probably what, like Spotify's and iTunes and stuff like that?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, like, we're in that age now where we're at the Spotify's and the iTunes and the SoundClouds, Bandcamps, and and it's really, it kind of hurts for me because I did grow up a bit in the CD era, like I was born in 97, but I was old enough to see CDs and buy CDs and go to the store when a new album was coming out, like, and run into the store. So I know that feeling, but I wish that we can have that feeling more. Is like, I would love for people to migrate back to the CDs and stuff. People are getting vinyls, and people are like, vinyls are like a seller. But like, I miss that feeling where people are like, yo, new album, and you go to the store to grab that CD. Yeah. I really miss that feeling. But on the flip side with the streaming is that you can have a DistroKid, or you can have one of those platforms, and you can sell your music directly. Yeah. And you can directly put your music by yourself on the Spotify's and iTunes and all that. So that is a little cheat code that I feel is pretty cool. Like, you are able, it won't be a huge amount of money, but you are able to feed yourself a bit off of the music if you want to, like putting it on your own platforms, and stuff like that. So
yeah, like the physical media thing is big, even with buying films and stuff. And it's
right. Yeah, right. That's exactly how I feel with going at like a new movie, just like Shaun of the Dead just came out on DVD. I remember being a kid buying the hell out of that DVD multiple times. And like every movie I loved coming out as a kid, I bought the DVD, like hands down. Or I would have like, Mom, can we please get this DVD? And she'd be like, all right, we can get it. So I just love that feeling. And I would have loved to have that feeling with my future kids, but in the future, it's going to be weird because everything is literally migrating to streaming now. You still have your Blu-rays and you still have your Arrowhead collections and stuff like that, or the Arrow collections and Scream Factories, but those are like aren't on a big scale as like the streamings and the fucking Netflix and Hulu and all that. So it's pretty trippy that we're in that age now. We're in a new age where everything is literally streaming now. And I'm half and half with it because I love physical copies. Like you can't see now, but I have a fucking whole Blu-ray. I have a Blu-ray collection cabinet, and then I have a DVD collection cabinet. So like I'm a collector
for sure.
But yeah, it's I wish we can go more into that age with the DVD selling like on film on copies. But
and like even like Arrow and like Scream Factory and stuff, they're, you know, they were kind of like, though they were the hubs almost in the last couple of years of you going to buy like a re-released horror movie or something to get it from them. But even they're starting up their own streaming stuff. So
I didn't know that. I didn't even know that. Wow.
Arrow has a streaming service right now. We did a documentary that was on it. And I think that unfortunately that's the way it's going. But as an artist, I know we love physical media, but as an artist, is it just a way easier to do digital because you don't have to go to a store, you don't have to press up CDs or vinyl? There's got to be more money in it now because don't have much money going out to prepare for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm still learning as an artist too.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still having my feet into this thing and trying to figure out how I'm going to do this in the future too. Like how I'm going to be pushing my music and how I'm going to be putting out my albums, because growing up, I always wanted to see like my album in stores. Like, oh, I'm going to go to the store, grab the CD. And it's not too late for that, but it's still a trip, you know. It's like, damn, like I always had that idea as a kid and that image. I was able to do that with the Jedi Mind Tricks album, but you know, like as far as like, you know, Afro CD, you know, so we'll probably see it in Amoeba and stuff like that, but probably like on a big scale, like the stores that we know and shit like that. You know?
Like the Die Hard, you know, Amoeba is almost like a glorified mom and pop shop, realistically, right? Because it's only a couple of them. Isn't there like one or two?
I understand. Yeah. Because like Amoeba's awesome, but like there's only from what I understand, there's only a couple of them. Yeah.
And those are really the last. We got like a Newbury Comics out this way, and it you know, it's slowly turning into just selling action figures and T-shirts. Like that's pretty much what's taking over. And then CDs are dying out. Records are huge. I guess like last year, or the year before was the first time that records outsold CDs in like 20 years or whatever. But it's like, it's for the people that want physical media. I mean, getting a record's way cooler than opening up a CD. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So it's weird. Like I think record will be the only thing that you can kind of really get is vinyl, CD too, but like it's gonna dwindle a little bit. And then I wonder if they'll come up with something new, like a new way of listening to music. I'd be very curious to see.
I just hope that we don't have to resort to slinging like physical copies in the back alley or something. You know, like where it's like, hey,
right,
yo, I got that Ernest Scared Stupid on Blu-ray. Yo, I got that Day of the Dead 2-disc special effect. I'm like, oh, yo, that's fucking incredible. How much? He's like $1,000. I'm like, damn. I know I'll never get this shit ever again. So me, you know,
you
know,
it's gotten that way.
Then start selling physical media. So you know, it's the new crack cocaine. Hey man,
it really is, man.
I got the Blu-ray you always wanted.
But like, it's crazy the uppricing on things nowadays. It's straight exploitation of the fan, unfortunately.
I agree. Yeah, I agree on that.
You know, but James, this was a fucking great episode. All right, we appreciate you coming in. Everybody support James. He's a great dude and a great talent. And we did the interview, so now when he returns, we'll be talking themes and fun stuff next time. Or not that this wasn't fun, this was a blast.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, now I'd love to come back, man. You guys are awesome. You guys, like, this was I'm in the right hand, so so it's all good.
You're always welcome, and we'll be promoting you heavily from here. You know?
Yeah, if you're doing any films and movies and stuff like that, hit us up. I will promote you.
Yeah, when the
We'll even
album,
come down there, give you a hand if you need it. I mean,
I
yeah,
really appreciate that.
we travel around. We travel around, and yeah, when the I'll keep an eye out when the album comes out. You can come back on, and we want to get you on for some themes. We'll talk some movies and stuff. It'll be cool.
I would love to. I would more than love to.
Hell yeah! All right, well, enjoy the rest of your Sunday over there, man.
Thank you, brother. You guys too, man.
All right, cool
Yeah.
beans. Talk to you soon. Have a good one. Thank you.
You too, bro. Talk to y'all soon.
All right, peace. All right, folks, that was a glorious episode with the great Afro. All flows reach out. If you're not hip to that dude, get hip to that dude. Hit him. Go on the Amazon. The album should be out soon. Hit up his YouTube. You know what I mean. Check out the new single should be popping right now. The new video for it. A lot of great things, and that dude's super talented. And I see him getting only bigger and bigger and bigger. And I really do think that he's the leader of his generation for sure. I think that he, you know, I know that it don't even sound like a compliment because the music business is so crazy right now, but he's one of the best, if not the best dude in his age bracket making hip hop for real. And that's out of everybody doing it, in my opinion. Hell yeah. So, you know, with that being said, go support the man and support us. Alex, do you want to say anything else in wrapping on this episode of the BoomBastiCAST?
nothing much more to add other than I think he has a good head on his shoulders. And one of the things that I really like that he said, like, you know, he's on set and he's asking people, you know, what their job is and all that. And whether it's music, whether it's film, whether it's anything, whether it's just art, I mean, you want to be better in what you do, you have to learn from people who have done it before. And the thing is, with saying that, it doesn't mean, you know, try to be like someone else. Use them for inspiration. And that's where I think, and I hope, because right now, unfortunately, if you sit down and you look at like Hollywood now, and a lot of everyone's trying to do remakes and try to build upon something that's already done. But the thing is, if you're going to stand out, if you're going to make your mark, you have to try to do something different. But use what has come before you as inspiration. You know, jump off of that. And I really think that, you know, he's a good guy. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to hustle, and more importantly, he knows that you gotta learn everything. If you're going to do film, whether you're doing music with the beats and all that, you gotta know all aspects of it to become a success.
Right.
And I mean, heck, he's how old is he now?
25.
25. I mean, come on. He's accomplished more at 25 than most 25-year-olds I've ever met or even heard of.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, and the thing is that it just means that, you know, there's so much more. Uh, uh, there's a big future for him. There's so much more for him to learn and do and to accumulate. And it was great talking to him.
He's one of us, man. That's what I dig about it. You know what I mean? This show got started, you know, to go into the spongy thing of it. You know, this show got started because, you know, us being in Massachusetts, you know, we don't get to bump into people at the coffee shop in California or New York, you know, stumble into some people that we're big fans of and be able to pick their mind about it. So we started this show so we can reach out all over the world and talk to people. And that's kind of what it is. You know, we bring people in, we hear their stories, what worked, what didn't work. You know what I mean? You get a good vibe, you know, because we're filmmakers. Alex used to be a rapper back in the day. He was a very famous rapper.
Yeah. I was Big Booger Boy. Yeah.
Big Burger Boy. They call him
Big Booger Boy back in
Triple
the day.
B.
BBB. That was my rapper name.
Triple B, baby. Maybe there's a future in that. Maybe that should be your other hobby, is getting Triple B off the ground again.
I don't know. I don't think I got. I think I'm as talented as a rapper as Corey Haim. I think that he and I are about the same level as singers.
Corey Haim.
I mean Corey Feldman. Sorry,
Say
dude.
Corey. Unfortunately, Corey Haim he's been laying dormant for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
He hasn't really been doing anything creative, unless we're talking about having a tree grow out of your chest or something. That's kind of creative, I guess. Much love to Corey Haim. The hamster is always numero uno in our book. And Corey Feldman, if you're listening, we got nothing but love for you, dude. In a world where everybody hates your guts, you got to be friendly with the ones who just poke a little bit of jokes and then show love, because you catch a lot of hate out there. His advice was fantastic. You know, we've heard some guests in the past kind of go down that route, and I always think it's very valuable advice when the hobby thing or the talent thing, where it's like, if you have, it's good to have more than one, because when you get caught up on one, and if you're only focusing on that one thing and it's going bad, then you're only focusing on bad. So if that slides into the bad zone, you can move over into the next lane, so to speak, that you pursue, and that can be positive. Then you ride out that positivity, and maybe you come up with a snag with that, and then you can jump back into the other one with the positive nature, because when things are going bad, whether people want to believe it or not, that it's a fucking burden on you. You know what I mean? Just the fact that it's going bad is a burden. You got to shake that shit off you and jump into positivity to bring positivity around, type deal. So I always appreciate when the guests get into that, because I think that's some of the best advice that anybody, I think the best advice that we've gotten on this show from people is that having something else. And that's something that I never really considered until people started saying it. And that's probably some of the best advice that I've taken in from, the best advice I've taken in from the show is to have something else that you can throw your love into that, still is kind of creative and supports the other thing, but, it's to get you out of that madness. That's huge for me. And the thing about with the Feldman thing, the thing that, like, knowing that, okay, you're going through a tough time now, but this isn't forever. Give it a couple days, give it a couple weeks, give it a couple months, a couple years if need be. Wait it out, and things will eventually fall back into place. You know what I mean? I think that's two of the best things that I've kind of taken in from all the people that give us their advice. You know what I mean? And Afro gave us some really good advice that I think everybody at home listening should really take into heart, whether you're doing something creative, whether you're doing something not creative. I think it's just great advice to kind of have. You know what I mean?
Heck yeah.
So with that being said, we hope everybody enjoyed this episode. Go support Afro, all his endeavors, music and film, everything, and his YouTube page, and support the boys at the BoomBastiCAST. Watch more episodes. Listen to on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, anywhere you listen to podcasts. You want to listen to the BoomBastiCAST. If you want to watch the BoomBastiCAST, when you're checking out Afro's YouTube page, you type in some Boombastic Media right after looking at his page, and you'll pop over into our page to show us some support too. And we got nothing but love for y'all. So with that being said, we hope everybody is fantastic, and we'll catch y'all on the next Boombastic on the BoomBastiCAST. Peace.